Finding problems? That's easy. They exist in every community. I'm Terry Springs, your host. We're looking deeper, and we are talking solutions, finding out how we all can make a difference. I'm really excited to start off today's Talking Solutions with an interview about Wish Upon a Wedding. Chances are you don't even know what they do. In studio with me, Michael Coxon, who is the marketing director, and Adam Frazier, president of the Las Vegas chapter of Wish Upon a Wedding. Want to explain to people what you guys do?
Sure. Wish Upon a Wedding is the world's first nonprofit wish-granting organization, granting weddings and vow renewals to couples facing terminal illness, regardless of their sexual orientation. It's a national organization, and we are proud to represent Las Vegas.
Make a wish for adults.
Very much so. I mean, we get to take couples who have an amazing relationship and are going through a very tragic struggle, and we get to make something amazing happen for them. So there's a lot of similarity to that, and we're excited to be able to make those wishes happen for people.
I can't think of a more important day in one's life than a perfect wedding day.
Sure. And the older you get, your priorities become more clear and more concise, and they usually center around family and love and good memories, and that's what we're all about.
Yeah. Life, to me, is not so much about things. It's moments. It's people. It's those special times.
Yep.
That's what you really hang on to. Wish Upon a Wedding, how long has it been here?
It's been in Vegas since 2010, and actually that was in the same year that Liz Guthrie actually founded Wish Upon a Wedding as a national nonprofit. First in California, and then in subsequent years they've been opening up chapters all over the country. So we can actually grant wedding wishes nationwide.
Las Vegas is such a perfect place for Wish Upon a Wedding. This is a wedding town. I got married here.
So did I.
Good place to get married. And we have a lot of people in the wedding industry. Have a lot of them stepped up to help out on Wish Upon a Wedding?
Sure, an overwhelming amount of wedding vendors have stepped up. This is the wedding capital of the world. Many people know it to be so, but we know it in a much different light. We have the most generous wedding vendors in every category who have stepped up to help us grant wishes over the past 5 years, and our database just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I definitely want to thank anyone out there who is a current wish granter and anyone that wants to be a wish granter. We are openly accepting applications at wishuponawedding.org. Come join us. It's a great community. In addition to granting wishes, we have lots of networking events and just fundraisers, but I want to emphasize that we are not looking to really raise funds at all because of these donations we get from these vendors. We get food and beverage covered, we get the venue, DJ, video, photography, floral, the whole 9 yards. So what we really need are volunteers, and more importantly, we need people to grant wishes to. We have enough people to grant wishes 4, 5, 6 a year, even more, but currently we're averaging only 1 or 2 a year. So if you know anyone who is terminal and in a committed relationship, wants to get married, wants to renew their vows, or if they just had other life-altering circumstances, something very upsetting or tragic happened to them where they had to put, say, a marriage on the back burner, we'd love to hear their story as well. In fact, our next wish is one of those stories.
I want to hear about that. How many weddings have you done to this date?
To date, we've done 4 weddings. So we've been averaging about 1 a year. And the current wedding that we're working on falls into the category of special circumstance for us. While most of the emphasis, like Michael was saying, is related to couples facing terminal illness, we know that there are people in the community that are struggling, that have an amazing story, and are so deserving of the generosity of our community. So we do have the special circumstance category. Our current couple is Jennifer and Christopher, both military veterans. And Christopher is actually the one that applied. He is a wounded warrior. He came back having served as a gunner on a rescue helicopter team. And during the course of a rescue, he suffered a series of injuries that led to burns over his body, many broken bones, and led to the eventual amputation of his leg below his knee. So he's come back and he's served more than proudly, and we are so honored to be able to know him and be able to work with him and his fiancée Jennifer towards granting their wedding wish.
What I find just incredible about his story, this was when he did get injured and his plane was shot down. It was actually his 3rd rescue mission of the day. Just try to imagine that, putting yourself in his shoes, saving soldiers from harm, from open fire several times a day. I don't know how long he had served off the top of my head, but day after day, saving lives. And finally, he faced a tragic situation, lost a lot of his brothers in arms, and, the emotional stress of that, I think, is much greater than the physical stress that he's gone through. There's a survivor's remorse. He hasn't necessarily had the best of times since surviving, and we think a real wedding is a real celebration of life. life. To me, it makes me feel special that I'm even here on this earth and I'm in a marriage myself. It's a beautiful thing. And to be able to give that to somebody, especially somebody who went through such a tragedy, is a beautiful thing.
If we could, talking a little bit more about Chris, when we were initially getting to know him through the interview process, we read his story on paper and we got the facts, and it's an amazing story just to even read. But when we got a chance to hear him talk about the events, it actually really opened my eyes to a lot of the struggles that you otherwise would not really be aware of. And he came home, obviously he had wounds and injuries. Eventually his leg was amputated from the knee down, which left him with a whole other set of struggles. But one of the things that he really alluded to was he suffered some brain trauma as well. And not having ever experienced that or knowing a lot of people that have experienced something like that, one of the things that became very apparent to me is that the struggles that you have from having physical injuries is one thing, but having the struggles of some brain injury along with that as well is a whole other set of things. Because sometimes you can look at an individual, and he talked about this a lot, where if you have a physical injury, people get it. You know, if you're in a wheelchair, we get there's certain things you can't do. But the brain trauma that he suffered is one that is very invisible to people who are watching him, because he can look perfectly normal, except he might forget something here or forget something there. And he said it was a real struggle for people to accept and learn the fact that this invisible injury was holding him back. And to look at him and say, well, why don't you get this, or why isn't this happening for you here? And he says he has a hard time communicating and helping people understand that this invisible injury carries with him throughout the whole process. And it's something that he's still continuing to struggle with.
I'm just really glad you brought that up, because it's just something I didn't even think about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just such a life lesson. You never know. The person who might have cut you off at the grocery store might not really know better. And we need to be a little more sympathetic towards one another. And you just never know what the person's going through, and they're not a jerk. They might be suffering. Just to be kind to everyone you encounter.
Absolutely.
You don't know what their challenges are. Yes.
Yeah.
Be kind and be tolerant.
Yep.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
He spent a good majority of his life feeling like he would always be alone. And for the time that he was serving, he actually was comfortable with that. And it wasn't until he was injured that his perspective changed. And then he began to see that he really wanted something more than that.
And he actually found his fiancee, Jennifer, on Match.com. So for everyone out there who is weary of such things, don't be. True love is out there in many places.
Mm-hmm.
Never know where you're going to find that special someone. When we're talking about the cost of a wedding, you guys both being in the wedding industry yourselves, you know what kind of bucks we're talking about to put together a wedding these days.
Yeah, $25,000 to $30,000 is a good average for a Las Vegas wedding. So $30,000 is pretty much what we're giving away, if not more, in a full retail value. At my wedding, paying for it with my wife and I, you know, we cut corners, we did things ourselves, but our couples don't have to worry about that. We give them everything.
Where are we in setting up this special dream wedding for this pair?
Well, we've been able to secure their wedding date, which is coming up towards the end of April. So we're incredibly excited about that. When talking with Jennifer, that was one of the things. Like, she didn't have a list of things that were must-haves, except for that she really wanted to have a spring wedding. So we're really excited that we're able to make that part of her wedding day come true for her. So Sienna Golf Club is actually the venue that has stepped up to actually host their wedding. So they'll be having their wedding ceremony at Sienna, as well as their reception. And Sienna's also being so generous as to donate their catered dinner. So they're going to be able to have a dinner for up to 50 guests on their wedding day. So amongst other wish granters, which we'll talk about, we have to send a really big thank you to Sienna for being so generous.
Yeah.
Sienna is beautiful. I'm on the board for the Poppy Foundation. We do our annual golf tournament at Sienna. It is beautiful.
Absolutely. Mountain views and strip views, nice elevation. It's gorgeous out there. It's going to be a beautiful spring day for them. One other vendor I definitely want to point out would be a gentleman named Lorenz Crespo. He's a wedding photographer here in town, but also a photographer over at Nellis Air Force Base. And he's the one who introduced Chris to us and shared his story with us. So it was a no-brainer who the photographer was going to be that day.
Absolutely.
So Lorenz is going to be taking the photos. We have Adam Trujillo doing video, which is just such a good memory maker, something that Chris and Jennifer and their families will look back on for years to come.
And of course, there's attire, the dress, the tux.
We have to talk about the dress, I think, for a second.
Yes, we were able to make a really great connection with Dawn over at Couture Bride, who opened up her shop. And one of the things that she does is that you come into her shop and you get a really amazing experience being pampered while you're going through the process of trying on the dresses and seeing them and hosting the family there. And she opened up the store to Jennifer to come in with her mother and sister, and they got to try on dresses, and Couture Bride was able to give to her a beautiful wedding dress. I don't want to go into too many details, don't want to spoil it for anyone viewing that Friday, but it is beautiful. And what was amazing for me to be able to be there, a part of that, is to see not just that she's getting a dress, which is amazing, but that she's going through that process of making those memories with her mother and her sister, seeing that this day is coming to life for her. It's really an amazing thing to watch. Stepping a little bit back, one thing that Jennifer seemed to be really overwhelmed by was the process. She didn't know where to start. She didn't know what things were needed. And the more that she started looking into it, the more overwhelmed she became. And the great thing about what we get to do is we get to come in and provide her and all of our couples with all of the assistance that they need for doing the wedding, for putting it on, and for organizing and planning it. And where I think that makes the biggest impact for a couple is that instead of going through this process, managing details, stressing out about this, that, or the other thing, they get to sit back and relax and go through this process and enjoy that process, because the wedding day has a lot of great memories, but so does the planning process. And that's what Jennifer gets to have. She gets to sit back and she gets to relax and enjoy these things as she's sharing it with those important people in her life. And we have to thank Dawn at Couture Bride for opening up her shop and just really giving her an amazing treatment.
There are a lot of pieces to putting together a big wedding. You mentioned the gown. You've got to choose the cake and the flowers and invitations. There's just so many pieces. But I'm thinking that everybody related to Wish Upon a Wedding who's donating their time and talents, you guys are all the wedding experts. Who could you have better in your corner?
Yeah. I mean, you get all the vendors you mentioned and some. And not only that, you actually get your own wedding planner, somebody that's a professional wedding planner, piecing it all together for you. Angelica is a member of our board, and she is our volunteer coordinator.
Wish coordinator.
Angelica is our wish coordinator, and she is helping get all these vendors together, working with the event planner. So you have actually 2 event planners technically putting everything together for you. It's an absolutely luxurious and wonderful process to go through. As anyone out there has been married, you know, it can be a stressful situation, it could be a full-time job. You can get a little absorbed in the minutia of it. So just imagine sitting back and having that all taken care of for you.
And you can get overwhelmed by the incredible cost of the average wedding these days. We're talking with Wish Upon a Wedding. In studio, we've got Michael Coxon and Adam Frazier. We're talking about the next wedding that they've got coming up. You've done 4. So this will be the 5th wedding.
Yep.
It's very surprising. When you come in and talk, you're not even really looking for monetary donations. You've got a lot of people helping you out, all these different wedding vendors from all throughout the valley, Las Vegas being such a wedding town anyway. What you are interested in, however, is suggestions of people who would be perfect.
That's what we need more than anything else, because our Wish Granter database is really stacked. We've got an amazing amount of Wish Granters that are just itching to start donating their services. That we've been able to do an average of 1 to 2 a year is great, but we know that we have the ability to do many, many more. And if you want to make a financial donation, we're more than happy and thankful and grateful for that support. But more than anything else, we need those introductions. We need those connections to couples. One of the things I found very interesting going through this process, it's not that we haven't had a good number of applicants coming through. One of the very interesting things that happened as people were beginning to apply is that they became very self-conscious of the generosity they were being given. And they began to actually pull back, and sometimes they would start through the process and then back out of it because they didn't want to take away that opportunity from another couple down the road. And it was heartbreaking to see couples that were just reluctant to receive what is the very enthusiastic generosity of our community. And if there's any message that I can get across to couples that are facing that situation, just know that your community really cares about what you're going through. And if you feel self-conscious wanting to pull back, just know that our community of wish granters, our wedding professionals, are just incredibly excited about this opportunity.
And we're looking for the kind of couples who are facing some really difficult circumstances, either a terminal illness where they only have so much time, and you want to give them this incredible gift of a wedding. Or maybe like the current couple that you're working for, Chris and Jennifer both being military veterans, Chris with the wounds, very thankful for his service, of course.
Absolutely.
But to gift them with a wedding, there's no way that they could afford all the things that you're going to do for them, and gladly so.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and when we're looking at the couples and we're looking at the situations, there are different scenarios that people find themselves in. Some people may come to a point where they're dealing with terminal cancer and maybe they have a prognosis of 5 years. We want to take the burden off of them so they can enjoy as much of that 5 years as possible. Even if they go into remission, we're not worried about that. We're looking at trying to make these weddings happen for people people who otherwise would put it off and or never have it happen because they're managing an illness like this. But we also find people who are in a more urgent scenario where they may have maybe a month left to live, maybe they have weeks left to live. We want to be connected to those people too. We may scale down, we might make it a smaller event where if they're in hospice or they're in a hospital, we'll keep everything right there. We'll send the officiant, we'll send a small set of flowers and a photographer and a videographer right there to wherever they are so they can still have those really incredible moments, maybe not on the scale of a full wedding, but we know that different people who are facing terminal illness find themselves in very different situations, whether they're with only a month left to live or maybe they've got years left to live. And we kind of gear and tailor the wedding experience for them based on what their situation is.
Understandably so, because a wedding is such a big planning event.
It can. Mm-hmm.
You need some time to do everything from the invites to the save the dates, to set up everything, the venue, make it a big celebration.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people, of course, who would be perfect for Wish Upon a Wedding who just don't have that kind of time.
Exactly.
Every one of you out there that's a doctor, a nurse, works at a hospice, administrative assistant, social worker, or knows someone who is, please spread the word about Wish Upon a Wedding. Please go on wishuponawedding.org and contact us. We will gladly give you flyers and other materials to put at your offices for your patients to read. Let's keep in mind that, yes, you're treating an illness and we're trying to prolong life, but how about enriching their lives? That's, I believe, what most of you in the medical field are out to do, is to enrich people's lives who are down and out. And that's what we're here to do, and we want to partner with you.
And who's to say a wonderful experience like a ceremony gifted by Wish Upon a Wedding, that would lift my spirits. Mm-hmm. And sometimes attitude has so much to do with how well you do.
All the time.
Yep, absolutely.
It's just as important.
Yeah, it's very important. When Wish Upon a Wedding first got its start here in Las Vegas a few years back, were you amazed at the amount of vendors who do the wedding business who stepped up?
Yes and no. And the reason I say that is because I guess whenever you start something, you're always a little hesitant if the community that you're a part of is going to support that. But when I started seeing the names and faces of the people that were doing it, it was of no surprise because knowing them, I know that they're generous people. So I was excited in the yes part of it, the surprise that we were getting off to a great start with the support from the community. But at the same time, I know that our community is so generous. And so it was of no surprise when we started seeing how well accepted it really was.
Yeah, I want to give a little shout out to Adam and his wonderful wife, Simbra, who brought this organization to Las Vegas. Simbra and Adam were looking for a way to give back to a couple in need. Adam's a wedding photographer, and they wanted to give away his services to somebody. And then Simbra found Wish Upon a Wedding and thought, why give photography services to one person? Let's give every service to as many people as we can. And they founded the chapter. I came to town in 2010 myself and got to know them personally over just the course of several months. And the moment Adam and Simbra asked me to be involved, both as a wish granter with my invitation company and to be on the board, I immediately said yes. I didn't have to think about it twice just because of the type of people they are.
Some of the organizations that I'm involved with actually schedule board meetings and you have to get everybody together. Yep. Is it that formal of an organization where you all do gather?
Yeah, we have a monthly board meeting. We've got a board of now 8 people. Each have their respective responsibilities and positions, but it really is something that helps us to be efficient with our time. All of our board members here in Vegas are all volunteer. So they're managing their own businesses and then stepping out and donating their time to help coordinate these different things. So we're very grateful to have the board that we have because there's no way that I could do this on my own or any small group of us. We need a much larger community supporting it, and that's headed up by our board.
Probably a board meeting is where you would come with the latest stories of couples who have been introduced to Wish Upon a Wedding. Maybe their stories have been shared with you, and here's another couple we might be able to take care of.
That's a big part of it. Also planning fundraising events and other networking events for our community and just trying to build awareness. As we've mentioned, our number one goal is getting more and more applicants. So while we do review applicants in our board meetings, we want more. We need more.
You've got the vendors who will do this and are more than willing to help. We just need more couples.
Absolutely. And going back to a little bit of some of the things we've got planned for this year, Dennis Silknetter, who is with the Four Seasons, he's actually in our event chair, and he's been working really hard on some really great plans for some events coming up this year. One thing of note, obviously we'd love people in the community to come out and learn more about us, meet us, and we'd love to meet them. But we're also going to be providing some educational pieces too. So some of the events that we've got coming up, or if you're planning a wedding and you want just some amazing information as well as some connections to these couples, come on out to some of the events and stay tuned. Maybe go by our Facebook page, like it, follow it. Stay tuned for some really great things that we're going to be doing this year, activities and fundraisers. So it can be a great educational piece for couples who are in the process of getting married.
We can find you on Facebook at
Yep.
Wish Upon a Wedding.
Yep.
And
We
your website?
Yep. We're on Facebook with Wish Upon a Wedding. Our national organization has their own page, but we also do have a Wish Upon a Wedding Las Vegas page that you could search for. And then wishuponawedding.org is our website. And there's tons of great material on there of past wedding wishes that we've done all over the country, videos and photos. And we always tell the couple's love story and recap their wedding for each wish that's granted. And combined with all of our chapters, there's well over 100 stories on there to read. It's really worth a little bit of your browsing time today.
It's one of those feel-good websites, seriously.
Yep.
Been there, done that, and it is. It's just, it's kind of a warm fuzzy. That's what I call stuff like that.
Yeah, if you had one story to look up, I would recommend going to wishuponawedding.org and searching for Heidi and Billy. It's a personal favorite story of mine. They were married on 11/11/11, which was a very popular wedding date here in Las Vegas, as you can imagine.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And they were married at the rooftop of the Platinum Hotel, one of our wish granters. And that was Heidi's one wish. She said, Heidi and Billy, they wanted to be married on a rooftop in Vegas. And we made it happen on a date that most vendors were pretty booked, yet they found the time. I mean, some of these vendors were doing multiple weddings that day. And we made it happen, and it's just a beautiful story, and the imagery is wonderful.
And you can find that on wishuponawedding.org. Well, I'm excited, and knowing that your next planning, the next wedding service that you're planning for Chris and Jennifer, coming up in April. Where are we? I mean, there's a lot of pieces to it, but at this point, that's not that far off.
No, it's not. No,
We're on it, though.
Yeah. We Angelica McDonald and then Andrew Ippolito, they are our wish coordinators. So they're the ones that are going through that database of wish granters and connecting the dots and connecting the pieces. One of the great things about having them on board is that they're both amazing wedding planners in their own right. So they're very familiar with that whole list in terms of the people that are there. So when we get an applicant come through and we start looking and getting to know them a little bit better, sometimes the light bulbs start going off for Andrea and for Angelica for the types of people that would be a good fit for them. So that's one thing that makes it a little bit more efficient than, for instance, just a normal bride and groom going through the process without the aid or assistance of a wedding planner. They have to get to know all these people for themselves and then as well learn about what they're looking for. So by having a wedding planner that kind of already knows the strengths and the styles of these particular vendors and then getting to know the personality, they can kind of really start making those connections a lot more efficiently for those couples.
I love weddings. I love the stories with Wish Upon a Wedding. I mean, it's a wonderful organization, and they're always looking for more stories, more weddings, more moments that they can help create. So if you know of somebody who is facing a very severe situation and still has a desire to get married, they'd love to help make it happen. If you've got somebody who's got maybe a terminal illness. I mean, these aren't happy things to think about, but they can take really tough situations in life and make them basically the best days.
Yeah, and you never know what could come of a happy wedding day, like we alluded to earlier. Changing attitudes, putting a new lease on life, putting a new lease on life with these couples and their families, and just all that support and positive energy in that day. You never know what could happen.
What a happy thing to do. What a great thing. And you've got so many people donating their time to make this happen right here in Las Vegas.
And I'd love to thank you, Terry and Beasley, for having us today. It means a whole lot to us to get the word out.
This is an important story to get out there.
We're incredibly excited that we're able to do it, so thank you.
Well, thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. Information with Wish Upon a Wedding, the website wishuponawedding.org. You were mentioning also your Facebook page, which is Wish Upon a Wedding Las Vegas.
I believe so, yeah. If you search that phrase, you'll find it on Facebook pretty quickly.
All of us sitting here in the room, I can see we've all got our little wedding bands on. I know we're all happy married people. Being in a good situation, a relationship, and being happily married, that makes me want to make sure everybody else who wants that situation also gets the opportunity.
Yeah. I myself had an illness last year, nothing terminal, thank goodness, but put me in the hospital and had me on bed rest for several months, and it was my wife that got me through it. So a marriage is a very, very special thing, way beyond a casual dating relationship. So if you're with somebody and they're ill and you're in a committed relationship, just getting married really might do a lot for the person. It lets them know that you're really there for them through sickness and health till death do you part.
I'm not going to cut and run. What a great organization. Wish Upon a Wedding right here in Las Vegas, granting amazing wedding wishes for couples who are so deserving. And they just need some more names. So if you got somebody in mind, you should let them know. Wishuponawedding.org or look for Wish Upon a Wedding Las Vegas on Facebook. Michael Coxon and Adam Frazier, we are so glad to have you as our guest today on Talking Solutions.
Yes, thank you.
Still lots to go on the show. Hope you can stay with us for Talking Solutions. I'm Terry Springs. Coming up next, we're going to check in with Linda Newman, president of the Poppy Foundation. That is an animal charity I'm very closely involved with. And they've got Hoppy Poppy coming up 1 week from today. Plus, we want to get everybody moving with Southern Nevada Moves Miles. And there's something going on with the Clark County School District. We'll check into Fire Up Your Feet after this.